Hey, what's up, everyone? Pastor JAMZ here with my first review of 2024 and my first review coming back. Thank you all so much for the kind words yesterday. I appreciate everything, and y'all are just as excited as I am. Sorry, I'm so excited I could barely get the words out. But, anyways, what was going to be my first review of 2024 and coming back? Well, I usually at the end of every year do end of the year lists where it's like the worst albums, worst singles, best albums, and my album of the year, which you get the picture. I missed 2 years already, which was the album of the year for 2022 and album of the year for 2023. Well, today we're going to review one of those albums because it has not been reviewed, and that's going to be the album for 2023. The 2022 album of the year, as you can see right here on the screen now, it's Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Around the Big Steppers. I'm not going to sit here and review everything about it and explain why because I did two videos on it. There's a two-part uh, review on that album. I believe it's over 40 minutes long, and I'm not going to sit here and explain myself, especially coming back. I think a long ass video would kind of bore you guys. And but I said everything I had to say in that video. And if you want to know why, then go watch it. But for 2022, my album of the year was Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Around the Big Steppers with a 9 out of 10. Moving on, uh for the album of the year for 2023, it's actually going to be The Art of Forgetting by Caroline Rose. Caroline Rose is 34-year-old Grammy nominated singer-songwriter and producer from Long Island, New York, and she made quite the splash back in she started getting her following back in 2017 with her sophomore album Loner. Her debut album came out in 2014, I Will Not Be Afraid, which was a country folk style album. But then that completely switched after that because from onwards, her sophomore, her junior, and her senior album uh, really started to change the way that she presented her music and the style that she had. She hasn't really come back to her folk country roots, and I think it's awesome how our artists do that. Artists can change their style and still not lose their sense of identity in a way, and still portray the art that they want to portray. She mostly focuses now on like pop rock, indie rock, things like that, and I just think that her albums have been amazing so far. She has not missed yet since Loner. Loner came out in 2017, was amazing, made my list as well. 2020 actually made the number two spot on my list, Superstar, and in 2023 now it's making album of the year. So kudos to her, and let's get on with the review. So, The Art of Forgetting, which released back in March of 2023, it's 14 tracks. I believe it's almost an hour long, 53 to 55 minutes, somewhere around there. But there's actually 11 tracks that are there's three voicemails which I will that are scattered throughout the album, which I'll get into a little bit later. But the whole album is revolving around the art of forgetting the ones that you love, and I mean it's self-explanatory, the ones that you love the most, maybe a relationship of sorts, and multiple relationships that don't necessarily have to pertain to intimacy. It can deal with family members that you kind of push away, friendships, and things of that nature that deal solely with grieving over the loss of a very important love that is like your partner and stuff like that. The aftermath of that, dealing with those things, those emotions, um, things that you think you are over it in songs like Rebirth, for example, the second track on the album. Is her kind of not, I wouldn't want to say she's delusional, but she's kind of tricking herself, trying to trick herself that she's over this heartbreak, where in reality it's not, because it's the second track of the album, and the album progresses through these stages of heartbreak, and I think it's so amazing. And even the first track, Love Lover Friend, starts off very drony, like as if she's in shock. That initial breakup, you're in shock. You don't want to believe it. And right away it goes into Rebirth, which is the my least favorite song on the album, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad track. It just comes out very awkward. The production is very nice, but the vocalization kind of sounds like she's trying to reinvent herself, and it doesn't really come off that way. Comes off very awkward, especially with the auto tune vocals, which she doesn't use very hardcore auto tune. Her voice is actually very beautiful, especially in live projects that I've seen her do live performances and stuff like that. But it sounds very robotic-y and strange in a way where you can't really pinpoint that she herself is who she is, and like she's losing herself in her identity and stuff like that. And she's just trying her best to overcome this in such a quick amount of time and say, "Oh, I'm over this already." The production, anyways, what like I said in the first couple tracks, very drony, and then in Rebirth, you kind of have like these acoustic Spanish guitars, very electric vibes and stuff like that. And although I do say that it's my least favorite track on the album, I do got to give it props for her. I don't know if it was intentional, but to me it seems that way, and I think it's awesome. So, anyways, we get into the other portion of the album, the next stage, where she's actually grieving and realizing that no, she's not over this. It's tracks like Miami, which was one of the singles and probably the best single that she was releasing leading up to this album. Very powerful songs with these bombastic instances of like she's trying to keep her composure of remembering that the relationship wasn't going anywhere. Then you're hit with like these clashes and like as if you're just going crazy in a room and breaking everything in sight. And then we actually get to the first voicemail from her grandmother. There's three voicemails that I gotta mention that take up slots in the track list that at first I couldn't really get into what the point of it was. A lot of people, when it comes to albums, interludes and voicemails or voice memos, speeches, they don't really care for that, and that's cool. That's fine. If you're just here for the music, you're here for the music. And me personally, what I do and my hobby, I think it's very interesting to take into account because they put these things, artists put these things into their projects and to their art for a reason. Maybe to portray, just give out good vibes or say what they have to say, get it off their chest that they couldn't necessarily make into a song, or to just help transition to other songs in the album or the project that's. And then we get the middle portion of the album, like where after the first voicemail from her grandmother, which these are voicemails. Like I said, she's not picking up the phone, and I'll get to that. I'll touch on that a little bit more later. But you also have the next stage of the album, the middle chunk, where she begins to blame herself, look at her own flaws, and perceive to kind of fall into like this hole where she can't really get herself out of. But at the same time, she's healing in a way because she's recognizing her own faults and thinks that she's the monster. Where I mean, I guess you can argue if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but in the end, she gets over the breakup and stuff like that. However, everywhere I go, Bring the Rain is a very catchy tune. Kind of it's all very emotional, very emotional. And then you have the Doldrums, which is also a very drony, dark, uh, kind of poetic type, like a sense of a dark side of her that you she doesn't want to let out. However, with this breakup, she can't help but even have she's having dreams about these things. The darkest parts of her mind are coming out with this breakup, and it's just something that she can't control. And the production is on point with it. It's very drony, very blissful. Yeah, it's kind of blissful in a way, especially towards the end of the track. And then you have the kiss, which is a monologue type track. Not very much production going on, but it's just focused on her voice, where she herself wants to get over this relationship and begging for another person to come her way, which a lot of people actually, like a stereotype in relationships to do that, and eventually will. But it seems like she's trying to force it. Like in the 6 minute long track, she cannot wait for this next person. She cannot wait for the kiss of someone new. And there's lyrics throughout the track which I might put up, I might not. Um, it kind of seems like she doesn't want that, like she's kind of lying to herself. But at the end, there's a 2 minute, I believe there's like a 2 minute long, just instrumental where it kind of does pick up the production wise, and it's so very beautiful. It sounds very sporadic, a dreamlike state, like as if this is something that she just is just waiting for every single night that she goes to sleep. But then you have the second voicemail, cornbread from her grandmother, and you can kind of see and you can hear it in her voice that she does miss Caroline. She wants to talk to her, but Caroline just isn't picking up the phone. But you also begin to see as a listener, and I was noticing this, that she was beginning not to only push her own feelings away, and people who that the person that she loved pushed her away, but Caroline is pushing away people that love her, in like family wise and friend wise. She's not picking up the phone. She doesn't pick up the phone in the third voicemail. There's a third voicemail that gets left, and her grandmother just wants to hear her voice and talk to her because she misses her so much and thinks about her every day. And I was debating on putting this into the video, but I will. There was an interview that she did where she mentions that they're real, and her grandmother, I believe, was having a like a mind or memory loss of some sort, like a disease that was getting worse, progressing with age, but she still remembered to call her each time, and that just hits, and that's why it does deal with it goes well with the album because of the things that I just explained of her pushing people away through this breakup because of the breakup, and it's not healthy. It's not a healthy thing. And from there, the track after that, actually, Stockholm Syndrome, is she. It sounds very jumpy, sounds very lively, and I think that's very ironic because she is blaming herself for the entire relationship. She blames herself. If she is death, then she brings relief. If she is a hurricane, then she's going to destroy everything that comes along her way. And if she wants to be a punching bag, then she's going to be the best punching bag. She's just beating herself up over and over again because of this person and what they went through. She's not necessarily blaming them and calling them a toxic person, but obviously she was the one who was dumped, and I think that it's very strong in a way that a lot of people blame themselves, and what I mean, I'm not good enough for things like that. And it's very crazy how she can go through these stages and like just dwell on it for so long, and it's very painful. But the track is very beautifully made, and then we're gonna go on into the last stage of the album. And then we get to the last part of the album, the final two tracks, Jill Says and Where Do I Go From Here. And they are finally, it's the stage of the relationship where she accepts that the relationship that she had is over, it's done with, and she's finally moving on and accepting the pain going to be, and the pain in her life, it's always going to be there, but she's moving on, she's accepting it, and it's extremely powerful, the last two tracks, the way that she exposes herself, how vulnerable she had set herself and to her audience in this album, and she continues to do that here in probably the most beautiful track on the album. Jill Says, it's another monologue type track, about 6 minutes long as well, but just focuses on her beautiful and amazing vocals. She sounds very tired. She also sounds like she has overcome something, which I applaud. The whole album, I just applaud everything about her. It takes a lot of guts to do something and make something like this, and she's very soft on the vocals. The production is so beautiful. You have these like harp strings that go throughout the album, and then you have this towards the end, very beautiful violin strings, like an orchestral type thing. However, that's more towards the end of the song, and it's just so beautiful the way that she portrays it. And then the final track, Where Do I Go From Here? It's more of like an acoustic. It's just where she lets everything go. Everything gets let go. Kind of a combination of Miami and maybe Jill Says or Everywhere I Go and Bring the Rain. Those tracks, it's to me, it's a culmination of probably those tracks or even every track on the album. It's just bundled up into one single track where she has finally moved on and she is asking, where do I go from here? Normally people ask that when they're lost, but to her, to me, the track kind of portrays itself that she is looking forward to the rest of her life and she's literally asking, where do I go from here? What am I going to do now? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? It's up to me. And the track just it's also very hectic. It's beautifully made, and she just wants to end it all. And the lyrics focus on self improvement, loving yourself again, accepting all the bullshit and all the pain. It's gonna hurt. That's life, but in the end, you're gonna get through this. Caroline, if you ever see this video, thank you so much for making this. It certainly helped me with what I was going through and what I still am going through. And people will, this is my album of the year. I know a lot of people are going to be asking, where's this? Or where's this album? Where's that album? Well, I can relate a lot to what these tracks are saying. And although I relate to them, just because I relate to them doesn't mean it's good. But I truly believe that this is a piece of beautiful and amazing art. Relates to vulnerability and heartbreak, pain, dealing with self-identity issues and stuff like that. And I know this review is going on for quite a while, but I mean it's 2023 album of the year. I just had to go in depth. Um, that's all I really got to say about the album. The Art of Forgetting by Caroline Rose, my 2023 album of the year, getting a 9 out of 10. The first review. Anyways, link to the album if you want to give it a listen will be in the description below. I know the review is going on for quite a bit. I will try my best to tone it down for future reviews. But it's a review. Like I gotta go in depth. I don't want to give you guys some BS and then just be on my merry way. But anyways, please like, share, and subscribe to anyone who you might think can use this album to get over anything, or if you just want to give it a listen. It's very beautiful. Anyways, see you all in the next review. Pass the jams out.